The rain had already soaked through his jacket by the time the sun finally disappeared behind the city buildings. And still he waited, not because he had nowhere else to go, but because somewhere in the crowd, a small hand had slipped away from its parent, and a little boy now stood alone in a world that suddenly felt too big and too loud. Most people walked past without noticing. Others noticed and chose not to stop. But this single father, already carrying the weight of his own life on tired shoulders, stayed. And that simple decision would quietly unravel a powerful man's pride before the night was over. He was a single dad named Ion, the kind of man whose face showed exhaustion more than age. His life revolved around routines built out of necessity: early mornings, packed lunches, school drop-offs, long shifts, and late nights spent trying to be both mother and father to his daughter. He had learned to live with disappointment, to expect little, and to give everything he had anyway. That evening, he had just finished a double shift and was on his way to pick up his daughter when he saw the child standing near a bus stop, crying silently, clutching a torn backpack. Ion almost kept walking. His phone buzzed with reminders of how late he already was. His feet ached. His mind replayed worries about rent, groceries, and whether he was doing enough as a parent. But then the child looked up, eyes wide and full of fear, and something in Ion's chest tightened. He knew that look. He had seen it in his daughter's eyes once, when she thought he had forgotten her at school. Without thinking further, he stopped. The boy couldn't have been more than 6. He didn't know his address. He didn't know his parents' phone numbers. All he knew was his name and that he had been holding his mother's hand one moment, then staring at strangers' legs the next. Ion crouched down, spoke gently, and waited. Minutes turned into an hour. The rain came harder. People offered advice but no help. Security guards said protocol took time. And so, Ion stayed, holding an umbrella over the child, telling him small stories to keep him calm, pushing aside the guilt building inside him about his own daughter waiting. When his phone finally rang, it wasn't the school, it was the child's frantic mother, screaming relief through tears. She was on her way. Ion felt a rush of gratitude and exhaustion collide. When the mother arrived, sobbing and apologizing, she hugged her son so tightly it looked like she might never let go. She thanked Ion again and again, offered money, asked for his name. He refused the money, gave his name quietly, and walked away, already dialing his daughter's number with a heavy heart. What Ion didn't know was that the woman he had helped was married to the CEO of one of the city's most powerful companies, and that CEO, known for his sharp suits and sharper tongue, would hear the story that night at a charity gala filled with applause, cameras, and polished speeches about leadership and values. The CEO's name was Ferris Malik, a man who had built his empire with relentless ambition. To the public, he was admired. To his employees, he was feared. He believed kindness was weakness, and that efficiency mattered more than empathy. That night, as he stood backstage preparing to give a speech about corporate responsibility, his wife interrupted him with red eyes and trembling hands. She told him about the rain, the lost child, and the stranger who stayed when no one else did. At first, Ferris barely listened. He was distracted, irritated, but then she mentioned the man's name and described how he refused money, how he had waited without complaint. Something unsettled stirred inside Ferris. He prided himself on being a provider, a protector. Yet he realized, painfully, that if he had been there, he might not have stopped. Later that evening, Ferris went on stage, but his prepared speech felt hollow. Faces in the crowd blurred as his wife's words echoed in his mind. He thought about his own employees, people he had overworked, dismissed, humiliated. He thought about the countless times he had chosen speed over humanity. And for the first time in years, the applause didn't comfort him. Driven by something unfamiliar, guilt, Ferris ordered his assistant to find Ion. It took effort, but by midnight, they had an address. Ferris didn't sleep. The image of a tired father standing in the rain haunted him. The next evening, something extraordinary happened. At a company-wide town hall streamed live to thousands, Ferris walked onto the stage without notes. His voice shook as he told the story of the lost child. Then he spoke Ion's name. Gasps rippled through the audience as Ferris admitted, publicly, that a stranger had embodied values he himself had only ever talked about. He apologized, not vaguely, not strategically, but openly. He admitted his failures as a leader and as a human being. He acknowledged the single father who had done what he, with all his power, might not have done. Cameras captured something no one had seen before. A CEO humbled. Ion watched the broadcast later that night on a cracked phone screen while his daughter slept beside him. Tears rolled down his face, not from pride, but from something deeper. For once, the world had noticed quiet goodness. For once, doing the right thing mattered. In the weeks that followed, Ferris made changes, real ones. Policies shifted. People were treated with dignity. Ion was offered opportunities, but more importantly, he was given respect. Yet he remained the same, man showing up, loving fiercely, waiting when others walked away. This story isn't about fame or apology. It's about the power of staying when it's inconvenient. It's about how ordinary compassion can shake even the highest towers. Somewhere tonight, someone feels unseen, exhausted, and small. But your choices matter more than you know. One moment of kindness can echo into places you'll never enter. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that character is built in quiet moments, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Stories like these deserve to be shared. Because the world doesn't change through loud words alone, it changes through people who choose to stay in the rain.